Good morning. It's the Call Flow Radio Show, and you're on the air.
Well, good morning and happy Friday to you. You made it through, well, almost another week. Still got the day to go, but that's okay. It is Friday. The weather should be very nice. You're going to have a beautiful Saturday. So got a lot to look forward to. It is, of course, the 20th. Just stop and think for a second. It is the 20th day of the month of June. And, of course, it is Friday, so we like to kind of kick off the weekend a little early when we can. Good morning, Mr. Staten.
Howdy.
Howdy do's. Let's see here. History for this, the 20th of January, starting 1801. Secretary of State John Marshall nominated by President John Adams to be Chief Justice of the United States.
Seems like yesterday.
Yep. Tell you what. Related to Jefferson, of course. They were cousins. 1841, the island of Hong Kong, ceded by China to Great Britain. Of course, control would revert back to China come July 1st, 1997. 1936, Britain's King George V would die after his physician injected the mortally ill monarch with morphine and cocaine to try and help hasten the pain that he was going through of his death. The king succeeded by his eldest son, Edward VIII. Of course, he would abdicate the throne just 11 months later to marry Wallis Simpson. 1937, President FDR becomes the first chief executive to be inaugurated on January 20th. Did you know that? I mean, now that's the norm.
Right.
Before that, it was March. It was always the 4th of March that the new president would take office. So he was the first. That would start in 1937. 1961, John F. Kennedy inaugurated as our 35th president. In 1964, Capitol Records releases Meet the Beatles, the first Beatles album. The rest, as they say, is history.
Yep.
1981, Iran releases 52 Americans that had been held hostage for 444 days. Of course, had the timing, that would happen just minutes after Ronald Reagan would take office. That was all planned beforehand.
Reagan was just that good.
We know now how well that was planned out. 1986, the U.S. observes the first federal holiday in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Let's see. 2009, of course, Barack Obama sworn in, our 44th president. 2017, Donald Trump sworn in as our 45th president. And in 2020, the Chinese government would confirm human-to-human transmission of the new coronavirus. That was if they would finally confirm that it was there in China for a long time.
And they are being punished how?
Well, they're suffering for it now, boy. They're not doing any regs beforehand. It's a mess there in China. Let's see. Birthdays, of course, they mentioned on the Almanac, astronaut Buzz Aldrin, 93 today.
Wow.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's pretty wild. Singer Eric Stewart is 78. Film director David Lynch, he's an interesting, twisted kind of guy. 77 today. Country rock musician George Grantham, Poco, 76 today.
Okay.
Yeah, one of Poco there. Paul Stanley from Kiss, rock artist, is 71 today.
There you go.
Yep. Speaking of rockers, Ian Hill, Judas Priest, is also 71.
Wow.
They sneaks up on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Let's see. Comedian Bill Maher turns 67. Actor Lorenzo Lamas. Don't never hear anything or see anything out of him anymore.
No.
He was real hot back in the day.
Yeah.
65.
Did he do that show Renegade in the 90s or something like that? It was like a syndicated show.
That may have been one of his. I don't remember. But, yeah. Who else? Country singer John Michael Montgomery. He's had some crossover hits. He's 58 today. Comic actor Rainn Wilson, 57. Who else here? Reno Wilson. another actor, 54 today. Singer Edwin McCain, 53 today. Questlove, the musician, and of course, what's his band? The Roots is his kind of blues R&B band. He's 52 today. Nikki Haley, former U.S. United Nations ambassador, 51. Who else? Kevin Parker, rock singer, is 37. And actor Evan Peters, probably best known for those American Horror Stories. I think he's been in every season playing different character. He's 36 today. So a look at that. Of course, it's just a fun day here on Friday. You can give us a call about anything you would like to discuss. 434-394-0924 is the number. We do have an international day today. We've got 3 nationals, but we do have an international day. It is the International Day of Acceptance. That encourages people to embrace those of all abilities.
Okay.
So that's the idea. It's kind of inclusiveness. It was started for people with disabilities.
Oh.
As kind of an inclusiveness to think of folks who may have some kind of disability, not that they are living disabled, but that they are living like everyone else.
Oh.
That was the idea behind it when it started. So that is
We just don't do that normally?
A lot of people don't, believe it or not. Yeah, you would think people would just think of everyone as normal people.
Didn't realize we had to have a special day for that.
Yeah, we have to remind ourselves of these things nowadays. It's a sad but true fact. Nationally, it is National Butter Crunch Day.
What's Butter Crunch?
Well, I think it's that kind of buttery toffee, you know.
Oh, you mean on the Cracker Jack?
Well, yeah, well, that's toffee, but I think it's more closer to like Crunch-A-Munch or Butterfingers.
That's why I'm addicted to it.
Yeah, that crunchy caramel that you put on really anything. Today's the day to celebrate that. It's also a day to celebrate cheese. It is
every day.
Yeah, well, wish it was. It's National Cheese Lovers Day. But more importantly, it's our holiday, John.
And our meaning?
It's National Disc Jockey Day.
Well, we should have the day off, so I'll see you folks later.
All right, so long. I played Pilot of the Airwaves before.
Is our dedicated song.
Kind of, yeah, our dedicated tune. Of course, it is the day to recognize, as it's written, you can tell how long this day has been around, those who spin records.
Spin records.
When you look it up, is how it's classified. It's been a long time. Well, I say that it's been a long time, but it really hasn't been that long since I've spun a record. But yeah, of course, people may not know the first disc jockey was actually an experiment.
Okay.
I mean, the idea behind radio was information and live concert and stuff, and that was in 1909.
So Wolfman Jack took the airwaves in 1909?
It may seem like it. Actually, it was a 16-year-old. It was Ray Newby.
Wow, a young person.
Yep, he was a student under the supervision of Charles Herald from Herald College of Engineering and Wireless. And he was the first ever to play records. They would have been acrylic 78s, of course, over the airwaves.
So we owe it all to a 16-year-old.
We owe it all to a 16-year-old and to his supervisor who was willing to go along with this crazy, wacky idea.
About the age I got into it, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, of course, it wasn't until 25 years later that the term disc jockey even came around.
Okay.
Walter Winchell, the famous, commentator, news guy on radio, was the one who gets credit for coining the phrase. Of course, now everything is from vinyl to although some of us still spin the wax. We still play some vinyl, but it is all pretty much digital
Never
medium.
Had luck doing that. Somebody would slam a door and the record would skip and all this other stuff. And
drive you crazy.
I learned at a very young age that I was not meant to spin the wax.
Well, even now, I think that's a sign of a disc jockey who really knows his job if he knows how to cue a record.
Yeah?
If you can properly cue a record, I can trust you and leave you alone in the studio. And if you can't, we got some training to do. Yeah, right. The day, of course, started, though, because of a guy that a lot of radio folks know, Moondog, Albert Freed. the famous disc jockey. He died on the 20th, which is why that day was chosen. Of course, he was really big in the 50s, the term rock and roll. He's the guy who gets credit for terming rock and roll. He's the one who came up with that. So, there it is. And, of course, John mentioned Wolfman Jack. For those of you who would like to know, I'll throw you your piece of trivia. His real name is Robert Weston Smith.
And him and Gene Ike went both to the same radio school.
That's right. They went to the same radio school. A lot of people may not know that.
He had a book out back in the late mid-'90s. Wolfman did.
Yep.
And the picture of Gene and him in the same class is in that book.
It is. I remember looking at it
there for you.
So you can look that up where you want to. Of course, every time you see it spelled now, it's DISC, like compact disc, like a CD.
Right.
But originally it was DISK, referring to those acrylic 78 records. So anyway, of course, best way to celebrate National Disc Jockey Day is to send cash and free food to your favorite.
No,
I'm kidding. I am kidding. I'm not begging for money. I am joking, of course. And it's as much fun for us as hopefully it is for you to get to play the music and stuff. So there you are. That, of course, is the biggie. The real biggie is, of course, David Crosby. Always an outspoken guy. Crosby, whether it was when he was still, before he grew all that wild facial hair with the Byrds, when he had,
he had
the harmony
resting
singer.
In that beard of his.
By the end of it, very possible. And then, of course, Crosby, Stills, Nash, sometimes young. He died yesterday at the age of 81. It was actually reported by his sister-in-law.
Okay.
And technically, they're saying it was Wednesday evening. It was yesterday. It was reported. Crosby's widow has not made any statements. Of course, a lot of people probably remember it was the mid-'90s. He had that liver transplant,
right?
And then he had heart surgery when he was in his 70s. Like 10 years ago. Of course, he didn't write a lot of songs.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he wrote just a handful of songs that most people know. Usually, opinionated but witty, kind of funny stuff. Like he had Almost Cut My Hair, which was basically about Woodstock and that whole 60s generation. And then he wrote a tune about when Robert Kennedy was assassinated, long time gone. But, of course, most people, Crosby with his 60s Byrds and 70s, of course, with Stephen Stills, Graham Nash, Neil Young. He was a big part of the L.A. rock community. Helped promote the Eagles, helped promote Jackson Browne, and is reportedly the inspiration for Dennis Hopper. Remember, of course, his character in Easy Rider. He's the real long-hair stoner dude in Easy Rider. Well, Dennis Hopper based that character on David Crosby.
Okay.
He's loudmouth, anti-war, and that's where he supposedly got it from. He wrote for Rolling Stone, or it was Rolling Stone. They in his later years, it would be like an Ask Crosby, and he would just put it right out there. He didn't pull any punches about it. Of course, Bob Dylan, his memoir that came out, about 8 years ago or something, he said in there that Crosby was a colorful and unpredictable character, that he was like Mandrake the magician. He didn't get along with too many people, but was an architect of harmony.
You know what's a hard listen? Is the Bob Dylan book on tape.
I don't think he self-reads it, but if he did, it would be almost worth the money.
Chapter 13.
You'd listen for 12 hours and still not know anything about Bob Dylan. Of course, that's all an act. That's like Joe Cocker and his goofy shaking
My mom
on stage.
had me convinced that man took too many drugs.
A lot of people have bought into it. Well, it's the same thing, like I said, with Cocker.
And
the
for
way
years, I thought that. I felt sorry for the guy. I was like, man,
Yeah.
that looks terrible.
And then the whole thing is a character. This Bob Dylan, everybody knows, is a character that's been created. Of course, the biggest problem with Crosby, and he fully admitted it in his later years, was the drug use.
Okay.
It's what he put on tons of weight. It basically, he lost a lot of his classic friendships with other musicians. I mean, even to the end.
It's funny how people vary. You know, Johnny Cash on the drugs he thinned out.
Yeah, I guess it's the different drugs they were taking. I don't know.
If he was taking more of the marijuana type, doesn't that increase your appetite and all that?
I think, yeah, that's what I've always been told. I don't know.
I don't know.
It also left Crosby broke. A lot of his money got burned up in the drugs, and it's a shame at what it did to the friendships.
A lot of artists.
They do if they can't control it.
Yeah.
Now he finally, it wasn't until the 80s, so it was 20 years before he was finally able to kick his addiction stuff. Mm-hmm. But what helped him do that was his stretch in prison.
Wow.
He got sent to prison on drug charges.
Okay.
I think weapons charge too. I think it was a multiple thing.
Hippie that had guns?
I know, surprising. Well, no, I don't know if it was a gun. It was. I remember there being a weapons charge. It may have been a knife. I don't know.
Yeah, mace or something.
But he had a big stretch in the Texas prison.
I'd forgotten that.
And of course, that is what he attributed. I remember an interview about getting off the drugs. He did write an autobiography that I never have read. That was shortly after he got out of prison. I think it was maybe around 90, late 80s. And I haven't. But he does talk a lot about the drugs and how he made bad mistakes, taking the stuff. So, of course, there have been a lot of tributes to Cross, as a lot of his musical friends have called him over the years. It was really sad. I remember the documentary about Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Excuse me.
He's getting choked up.
And they talk about because of Crosby's drug use, how it really affected their friendships. And Graham Nash, as far as I know, they hadn't even spoken for years and years and years.
Wow!
Because of it, it was really sad.
Yeah.
And it even affected the relationship with some of his bandmates from the Byrds as well. Mm-hmm. He and George Harrison, had gotten pretty close at one time, and had become pretty good friends. But there it is. 81, David Crosby. So, musical legend. So there it is. Yeah, it's weird when you read this entertainment stuff all the time. It does almost seem like every day. I guess they run together. You don't realize how often sometimes they pass away.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Hey, speaking of music, before we get down and do goodies at the bottom of the hour, Snoop Dogg, Sade, Jeff Lynne.
Are all doing a song together?
That would be interesting. Gloria Estefan, Glenn Ballard, Teddy Riley, and Liz Rose are all going to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Oh.
That's the class of inductees. That includes writers of such iconic songs as Man in the Mirror, Drop It Like It's Hot, and, of course, Rhythm's Gonna Get You. The 7 songwriters in the class of 2023 will be inducted at a gala event June 15th in New York City. Of course, other rappers will be there because, of course, they all have musicians that come to present the award and honor them. Like it's Missy Elliott, I think, who's presenting to Snoop Dogg. The one that I'm more interested to or in is who is going to present to Jeff Lynne. Of course, all the stuff he wrote. He was, for years, he was ELO.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't say in the story who's presenting to him. So I'm curious. I don't know. Usually, it's previous inductees.
That makes sense.
Normally. So you think about the possibilities. Could be Billy Joel, could be Elton John, Could be Bon Jovi, Brian Wilson, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty. Well, all these are Neil Diamond inducted, Phil Collins, Lionel Richie, James Taylor. These are all. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't really be surprised by these names of the songwriters. No. Of course, Richie Sambora is in there too.
Richie Sambora.
Yeah,
wow.
Because he wrote some with John Bon Jovi. So he's got writing credit. Just like Bernie is in there because of the songs he wrote with Elton. Yeah. Of course, Carole King. All the ones you would expect are in there. So it'd be interesting to see.
Hey, maybe Bob Dylan.
I know Dylan is in there.
And present the
Oh, okay, you got me that one. That's an inside joke, folks. Oh, that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair.
Sorry.
Okay. Woo. It's 8:30. That means, thankfully, we have to take a break. We're going to look at your weather.
Yourself.
Yeah. Of course, we got a good list of birthday names for you. Not
a big one.
Of course, we got today. We've got Saturday and Sunday as well. And we got anniversary as well. A biggie, folks. So all that coming your way. Of course, up first, a look at our weather. It's brought to you by the Bank of Charlotte County.
Hello, I'm Stuart Wilborn, manager of the Bank of Charlotte County Loan Office in downtown Farmville. With over 30 years of banking experience, I'm here to help you finance your commercial, agricultural, or personal project. Give us a call at 391-1136 or stop by our downtown office at 216 North Main Street, where you'll find old-school personal assistance with attention to detail. The Bank of Charlotte County, giving you more for your banking needs. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Oh, thank you, Stuart. All right. Well, at least the National Weather Service site's cooperating once again so we can give you a true detailed forecast here. Sunny today, highs in the mid-50s. Look for west winds 8 to 14 miles. Gusts as high as 22 are possible. Tonight, clear, lows in the upper 20s. Now, sunny tomorrow, looking for highs in the low 50s. Saturday night, partly cloudy, lows in the upper 20s. Sunday, 90% chance of rain. That's expected to start sometime in the late morning. Highs in the low 40s. Sunday night, still, well, no, I take that back. It's now 80% chance Sunday night, but that rain is still expected to go until the early morning hours. Look for lows in the mid-30s. And Monday, you're going to have a cloudy morning. They've pulled the rain out. They're saying now it's going to be over with before we'll get up Monday, so that's a good thing. Gradually clearing, highs right around 50 degrees. Staying clear Monday night, lows in the mid-20s. Right now, humidity 58%. Our barometer had a pretty good fall, actually. 29.84 inches now. No wind to speak of. Blue skies and sunshine outside. Still holding, however, at 45 degrees, the current temperature. Now, your weather this time around, brought to you by the Bank of Charlotte County. That includes branch locations in Phoenix, Charlotte Courthouse, Keysville, Brook Neal, and that loan office right here in downtown Farmville. Well, there's the music, and here's the words. Your birthday and anniversary calendar is coming up. It is brought to you today by Terry Atkins Wilson, PC, in downtown Farmville. All right, you want to do some names?
I reckon so.
All right.
Birthday's for the 20th, right?
That is today.
Yeah, here we go. From Cumberland, happy birthday going out to Sherman Langhorne Sr. The following are from Crew, Zachary Roberts, Tammy Blevins, and Christy Golan, all having birthdays today. Also, Crew on the 21st, Ray Daniel, Rita Oakes, Caitlin Knight, Haley Brooke Knight, Matthew Hurley, all from Crew Burkeville. And also on the 21st, Donnie Buckling, having a birthday. And on the 22nd, here we go, Lanaya Gray of Farmville, Samuel Booker Jr., and from Crew, Elizabeth Ledger and Chelsea Dillard. All those birthdays on the 22nd.
Awesome. All right. We'll do a little business, and we'll come back with that big anniversary.
The law office of Terry Atkins Wilson, PC, is located at 117 North Main Street in downtown Farmville. With deep roots in Farmville and our surrounding communities, Terry and her legal staff specialize in real estate law, wills and trusts, business formations, and collections. Experience and professionalism are extended to every customer in every case. The needs and concerns of every customer are their primary focus. If you have legal needs, contact the law office of Terry Atkins Wilson, PC, for a consultation at 434-392-1422.
All right.
The big anniversary, right? All right, here we go. Celebrating their 50th anniversary from
50.
Farmville. Happy anniversary to Mickey and Perry Carrington.
I don't know how she done it.
The big 5-0.
She's put up with him for 50 years.
He has.
Mickey, more power to you.
Yeah. He gets a little credit, right?
He gets some.
Okay.
He treated her right.
There you go.
I can't imagine what he's going to do for her 50th, and I can't imagine what she's expecting. Well, but we wish them the best. As a matter of fact, we wish everybody a great day. Of course, I'm sure there are birthdays and anniversaries out there today or the weekend that we do not know about, and we hope everyone who's celebrating has a fantastic day. Remember, if you want to get those names to us, all you have to do is email them to birthdays@wflo.net. Or, of course, you can mail them to WFLO 217 West 3rd Street. That is Suite 2. Of course, Farmville 23901. We'll get it on the list and tell everybody about it. Remember, for the right legal advice, visit Terry Atkins Wilson, PC, Main Street, Farmville. Terry sponsors your birthdays here this Friday. Well, I guess the other big news, and it really shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Yesterday, they made the announcement: Alec Baldwin. They've went ahead and charged him involuntary manslaughter because of that shooting that happened during the filming of Rust. Yeah. So that really, since they said they were debating it, I thought to myself, they're going to charge him for this. And he's not charged alone. The props guy is too. Or a lady.
I was going to say, there was a lady. That was a props person.
Yeah, is also charged. Morning, you're on the air.
Chris and John, a fabulous Friday morning.
How are you, Barry?
Same to you.
Fine. How y'all doing?
Oh, doing great.
That's great. That's great. Got another birthday. I don't think I heard it, but I got another birthday for today. Roy Knighton.
No, I know we had some nights, but I don't think we got
I don't
Roy.
see that one.
Yeah, we had a couple of nights, but not Roy. Where's he from?
He's from the Arvonia, New Canton area.
And that's today.
That's today,
Okay.
the 20th day of January.
All right.
And I asked you all to keep my wife in very special prayer today. About noon today, she'll be undergoing cataract surgery.
Oh, well, thankfully, nowadays, that's not what it used to be.
It's a very simple procedure.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it'll probably take less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
Well, I tell you what, more power to her. The way I am with my eyes,
Yeah, we're going up to UVA today in just a little while, so
Okay.
just everybody to keep her in thoughts and prayers. And, of course, the bad part about it, you got to go back the next day.
Oh, they got to take a patch off or something like that?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have took that off, but I guess they want to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I'm sure they're going to check it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
just everybody to keep her in thoughts and prayers. And I know it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good weekend and
Yep.
days to come.
That's right. Well, safe travels, and we wish her the best with it.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too.
All right.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. All right, yeah, cataract surgery. I know they say it's nothing, but I'm just, I am bad. When it comes to eyes, nope. My mom's gone through it and stuff, and she's like, oh, no, it's nothing. I said, no, they got to knock me out. No, they don't. Yes, they ain't touching me otherwise. No. I have been at the eye doctor sitting next to like 4 or 5-year-old kids, and they're looking at me like, what is wrong with you?
Are you a man or a mouse?
Yeah.
Put a piece of cheese down there, and
you'll
you'll find out.
You're right. No, not when it comes to that. I'm terrible. I fully admit it. I freak out. What are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Baldwin and them. And, of course, this is now bringing up a whole new discussion of gun safety on film sets. I mean, this is not new. It's not the first time this stuff has happened. Even it's happened before with just blank cartridges, not
That's
even
what happened
bullets.
with Brandon Lee.
That's right. That was a total blank. It wasn't even a bullet put accidentally into a gun.
Something was lodged in there or something, and the blank projected that
right, and
out,
whatever that thing
whatever
was.
it was. Yeah.
Yep. Now, Baldwin's attorney...
But even blanks can be dangerous at close range.
If you're close enough, very true. I fired them on stage before, and you're always...
So have I, and I was told,
Yeah, don't point it right at somebody. Yeah. Baldwin's attorneys and the union have both come out and said, that they really shouldn't be considered criminals by this, but that they agree we've got to really look into the seriousness and try and think of ways more safer, especially nowadays. So many more action films and shooting films. I know they do some of it with CGI nowadays.
Well, I would have thought that's the way they would by now have done it, because the backgrounds you see aren't even real anymore.
No, so much is green screen and computer generated.
It's really
stuff.
just the actors that are the only thing that's actually of any realism in what you're seeing.
Yeah,
and sometimes not even that.
Well, that's true too. Sometimes, they've done whole movies where they don't build sets or anything. Right. It's all CGI. It's just the actors in costumes, and everything else is added in later.
Yep.
If they do it right, it's not so noticeable. But sometimes they go overboard. It just looks terrible.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah. We got 20 minutes if you want to give us a call. 434-394-0924, leading into this weekend, of course. Super Bowl later than normal. They added weeks.
Okay. Well,
my understanding
anything to stretch it out.
Yeah. I did find some interesting Super Bowl stats and stuff. Oh, you save those for next week. We get a little closer to the big game, as you have to say in advertising. Some interesting stuff where Virginia falls as far as viewership and snack foods and things like that.
How do we fall?
Well, you'll have to wait till next week.
Oh, okay.
That's my teaser. Give me something, man.
All right. No. That's good.
Celia Vega. You ever heard of her?
I think I'm getting ready to.
Well, she is joining the CBS TV magazine 60 Minutes. She's going to be new correspondent. Yep. She is the most recently, she was ABC's chief White House correspondent. Now, Bill Owens, who's the executive producer of 60 Minutes, says she's a sensational reporter and storyteller. The announcement was made yesterday afternoon. Vega came out in a statement and said for her, the appointment is a dream come true. So she's looking forward to it. It won't happen until the spring. Now, she has led the ABC White House coverage since the 2020 election. Before that, she was White House correspondent for ABC News covering Trump's administration. She joined ABC News as a Los Angeles correspondent in 2011. So she's been doing this for a little over 10 years, and most of it with ABC. So if you're a 60 Minutes viewer, get ready for Cecilia Vega.
Wallace.
Long time. Morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. This is Beetle.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Just fine this morning, thank you.
Glad to hear it. Yeah, it's a beautiful morning out here in Buckingham.
Yeah.
I'm kind of following up on your David Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the acts at a very small club in San Francisco called The Matrix. The Matrix was over in the Marina District, and all of the known rock and roll bands that you knew of that era, 64, 65, Jefferson Airplane, the Big Brother, Janis, and stuff, were playing at the club. And they would play for free. I was employed as a serial film operator.
Oh, wow.
Between sets, they would show episodes of the old serials, Flash Gordon and Dick Tracy.
Okay, yeah,
like
Penelope Pureheart and all those kind of.
Yeah, and of course, everybody knew about Avalon and the other one, the Bill Graham, but they had just started in their showing and musical presentation. But the Matrix like I said, was just a small club, like a jazz club, converted to the San Francisco rock scene.
Huh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you got to see a lot of these great 60s acts when they were still fairly fresh.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because interestingly enough, the panhandle of Golden Gate Park went through the Haight-Ashbury. And it started like at Masonic and went up to, I forget what street that was, but then the vast, bigger Golden Gate Park started there. Well, the Panhandle had almost daily musical acts by a band, and big band, the whoever did Going Up Country, I forget.
Canned Heat, yeah.
Canned Heat, right. And there were free food. Don't forget, almost 500,000 people came to San Francisco in 1965 with tents and no money.
Yeah.
And so the Diggers, which was a organization of San Francisco residents, provided free food. And so every afternoon you'd have a band and lunch, so to speak. But it was a very, very exciting time culturally.
Oh, yeah.
Because all of the fallacies of various governments and politics and everything were exposed. You had a completely disheartened generation of anti-Vietnamers.
Yeah.
And the excitement was through the music.
Yeah. This is a fascinating time in American history.
Absolutely. Oh, and you mentioned Wolfman earlier.
Yeah.
WKPW, Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, that's right.
Listen to it all the time.
He was one of a kind, boy.
Oh, I know. And 50,000 watts.
Yep.
That was a lot then.
There were probably 10 50,000 watt stations in the United States at that time.
Yeah, back then there weren't many at all, and now a 50,000 watt, you got 100, 200,000 watt stations.
Yeah, you had WILS in Chicago and WABC New York and KPW Buffalo, and that was about it.
Yeah, they were just a few in the big places. On the East Coast, you're right. Yeah, I mean, the only ones bigger than those were the old heritage AMs like WGN and Opry and those few, and they were 100,000 AMs. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting history.
Well, okay, good. Thank you. Do enjoy your Friday.
Well, thanks.
To your weekend.
You enjoy yours as well.
One.
Have a good one. All right. Bye-bye. Well, that's interesting. That would have been really cool. I mean, to be around. I don't know. I mean, I guess you look back on anything. It's just like, you look back. Oh, it would have been a simpler time to live back. Well, yeah,
that
but
era had its hassles that you had to deal with.
That's it. We glamorized the past, but there was also a lot of
rose-colored glasses,
horrible stuff that went on too. That you have to deal with.
You get to hear the what man come get you. You get to hear him, and you feel better.
Well, and I think that's part of it. That was the part of it.
That was a bad Wolfman. I'm sorry.
Well, we can't blame you for everything.
No, we'll try though.
A lot of that was the thing that made disc jockeys so popular at that time. It was that connection, that personality. I mean, it's what we try to do now, but that period of what the disc jockey was, the industry has changed to the point you'll never have that again.
No, it's gotten way watered down to the point that.
Well, and everything, just the way the job is done is so different. Back then you were tied to this board.
Afterthought.
Yeah.
As opposed to what it used to be.
It used to be, that was the prime, and you were tied to that board and to that vinyl.
Yep.
And your timing was tied to those short 60s 2.5-minute songs.
Oh, yeah.
You always knew when it was bathroom break for somebody because it was Stairway to Heaven or Hey Jude.
Or something.
Or something along those lines. It was an album cut, Inagata-Davida.
Oh, man. That was like a whole side
that
of
was
a
whole
record,
side
right?
of an LP. That's right. Took the whole side for Iron Butterfly there. But now you never know what's going to happen. Anyway. Oh, the other big event that has been announced, I mentioned, of course, the Songwriter Hall of Fame. A starry group of celebs from the whole gamut, film, TV, music, sports, even fashion, will all channel the Lagerfeld look at the Met Gala this year. That comes up the 1st of May. Penelope Cruz, Dua Lipa, Anna Wintour, Roger Federer. They are all the evening co-chairs for the Met Gala. That was announced. Also announced was a specific dress code. Now, it is all in honor of Karl, the German courtier, of course, Karl Lagerfeld. His work was the theme of a spring exhibit that at the Met Gala, that their costume institute, that they, do costume displays and stuff. Of course, Lagerfeld worked with Fendi and Chloe and probably best with Chanel all those years. Died.
Don't feel bad, folks. I have no idea what he's talking about either.
Karl Lagerfeld, fashion designer. He died in 2019. You know it is, jerk. He died at 85 in 2019, so they're kind of honoring him. I know you know who Penelope Cruz is. If nobody else I mentioned.
I know the people you mentioned, but I don't know the guy that they're honoring and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of a part of it because they did this costume. They'll all be wearing things designed by Lagerfeld during the gala as they make their presentations and awards.
Lager, I'm thinking, the little cap and the corduroy and whatnot and the flannel shirt,
flannel shirts in a lumberjack.
Yeah,
leaping from tree to tree as they float down the mighty rivers of British Columbia.
Thinking, some John Wayne movie, North to Alaska.
North to Alaska. That's a great movie.
Yes, it is.
And it's got a good song.
It's got a mistake in that movie.
I'm not surprised.
Well, one that they didn't bother to take out. He's getting punched, and when he falls back, you can actually see the toupee on his head coming off as his hat's coming off his head.
I'm surprised that
they left that in.
The Duke must not have known because he
didn't know about it.
He would have made him fix that.
I wasn't going to film it again.
Well, that was probably what it really came down to. He didn't. He's one of those guys. If it's good enough for him, he didn't want to do it again. He didn't. He was a one.
You'll find me at the bar.
Yeah, well, him and Jackie Gleason and Dean Martin. They were all one and done. That's it. I'm going to get a drink. Or it was a drink or a golf course. Yeah, Lee Marvin was another one that way. They were like, nope, that's it. Good enough. Let's go. Nobody will care. They come to see me. They don't care. That's another thing about that era that we'll never get again. Is
actors? I mean,
yeah, but but that type of where the actors, the singers had that kind of control.
No, you won't see that again.
I mean, you think of Jackie Gleason, who was, New York and became so popular that when he decided he was leaving and moving to Miami and built his home off the golf course, he also built a whole studio. And he just basically told them, we're going to start filming the show in Miami. Yeah. I'm not coming up here.
Right.
And they just said, oh, okay, Jackie. Dean Martin was the same way. This is when I'm coming to record because I got a golf game this morning and I got another tee time at 1 o'clock.
Right.
So you got me for this hour. Mm-hmm. And he walk in, do it, and and that was it. Well, Sinatra famously, there was The Road to Mandalay, one of the songs off Come Fly With Me. They wanted him to redo the chorus at the end after this gong goes off. And he and it's Nelson Riddle. I mean, they were best friends, worked together on dozens of albums. And he said, no, it's not necessary. Don't need. No, Frank, we really need to do no, I'm not doing that. So he said, well, let's just try it. let's tape it and try it and decide after you see how it sounds. Frank said, fine. And they go to the song, and the time comes, and he finishes, comes up like thunder. They hit the gong, and they look, and he's turned around, and he's walking out the door. He said no, and it was no. And Nelson let it go. And that's the way it is on the album. The music just fades from the gong. So guys like that, you don't have that now. There's no actors, no singers that hold such power, such reverence. But it's probably everything changes. Just like we were talking about radio changes, so does film, music. All the industries
The movie
develop.
industry's definitely changed.
Well, yeah, there's no big studios anymore.
No.
If any that exist, they're just distribution. They don't have anything to do with the filming.
And the whole process of even going to see a film, it's all going through streaming and all this other stuff now.
Yeah. Well, even the theaters. I mean, when I used to work in theater a long time ago, we still got film, because I was a projectionist, on reels of film in little metal canisters. And you had to sit there and splice the reels together and then splice your trailers and then view it, because if you were lucky, it was all right. But maybe somebody didn't put the film tail out like it should, or they put it on the spool the wrong way, and you'd have one section of the movie that was backwards, and you'd have to find it and take it all apart. And I mean, it was a process.
I didn't realize there was that much editing even at the theater.
Yeah.
I figured that stuff was already pre-done.
No.
That's interesting.
After you had it together from all the little reels, you put it on one giant reel that was about 3 foot in diameter, and then you loaded that into the machine. It was all manual, even running the machine, starting them, warming them up with the light and everything. And now they've gone from that all the way to they don't ever even get the film. If they get anything, it's a little hard drive, like a computer hard drive, that's been coded that it's usable from a certain date to a certain date.
Wow.
And they pop it in and just upload it.
And that's it.
And after the date, it's like having a security code. It's good for a certain period of time, and then it just doesn't work anymore. It's gone. It's amazing how it's changed.
Yeah.
But that's everything. I think that's what makes, when we look back, we
I
talk
don't know if we
about
missed
the
the
older stuff
jumps in the
interesting.
film like we used to get every once in a while.
Yeah, the jumps, the little bits of hair or lint that would be stuck on the screen. You'd wait for it to finally get caught by the trail and move off. Or
Usually Bugs Bunny or somebody would take care of that. They just pull it.
pull it off from the side in the great cartoon. Yeah, I mean, those are jokes that, like in the cartoons that kids today, if they saw it, they wouldn't understand.
And what does that mean?
They wouldn't understand what that was anyway. It's just interesting stuff. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have the same kind of stories. You know, whatever industry they worked in, how it's changed, how for better or worse. I mean, I think it's probably a little of both. You know, there's always benefits to the advancement that happens in whatever the field may be, but there is that. I guess that's just nostalgia. You know, you miss the old days, but at the same time, I think now the work. I mean, I'd be there for hours putting a film together, and you were tired, and not to have to do that anymore. I'm glad I saved. I have little bits, a single cell of certain films while I was there, because you had to splice it back apart before you sent it to the next theater. So your tape splice you cut out. You never wanted to be way down the end of the theater run, because you would then have big jumps, and that's where they came from. Because all the theaters before you had taken out.
That's why they looked so
frames.
bad by the time you went to the Dollars movie theater or whatever they call it.
And that's why it was $1. Because, you'd have jumps. You knew when it went from 20-minute reel to 20-minute reel.
Right.
You lost 2 frames. If there were 5 theaters before you, that's 10 frames per reel. That's a lot of film. Which is why the restoration processes nowadays on some of these classics take so long. Because they're trying to reproduce, is this cell close enough to what the next cell would have been, and how do we put it together? And the history of it all, it's fascinating. And we could talk about history all
in men's fashions all day, but unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
work must intrude.
Work must intrude. Well, as the Duke would say,
You talk too much.
Yeah.
that's true. We can't help it.
Man, a few words there.
Yep. But they're just the right words.
Right.
So we hope everybody has a great weekend and enjoy it, whatever you're going to do. Don't let the little rain on Sunday bother you. Don't forget, John will be back. Got his party coming up this afternoon.
We'll be singing in the rain.
Well, it's not supposed to rain tonight.
I'm just messing
But it might. Who knows?
Who knows?
They find out you're on air.
It was supposed to get up to 60 yesterday, and it never did.
Well, that's true, too. That's 4 to 6. Of course, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock for the Great American Songbook, Fran and his hit train. And, of course, then Ron's got Rock and Soul and Beach. And Christine with you for some nice music on your Sunday morning. That all starting at 7 as well, or 7:30 for our terrestrial folks when they join us. All right. Thanks, John. Thank
I'll
you.
See ya, Pilgrim.
Thank you for your calls and for your listen. And we look to talk to you again next week. John will be back in here right after your news. He's got some more great music coming your way here on WFLO.
WFLO AM 870, Farmville.